Good morning. I bet you're probably asking, what's up with your hair? Why is your hair looking like this? Why is it all tangled? This is what stress looks like. So, I also think that you're probably asking, where have I been? Because it's been about almost a month. Let me start off by saying the reason why I'm stressed out is because I actually recorded over an hour's worth of a vlog because I recorded a 1 week vlog. And I was trying to give you guys an update on how local was going for me, right? Because I made my first video driving local for the first time, right? Long story short, after I had edited it, which by the way, it took about 2 days to edit. Once I finished editing it, before I could update it, it told me it couldn't, or upload it, it told me it couldn't upload because my storage was full. So I had limited time. I eventually went and got an external hard drive. When I tried to put all the files onto the external hard drive, I had to call Apple and everything. I eventually got all my files on external hard drive, or so I thought, and then I went to go delete all of the stuff that was that I put on the external hard drive. See, the issue though is the editing never saved because it was still in my editing software, and I don't really even understand most of it, but when I deleted all of the editing as well, and I honestly can't even find all of the files or all of the videos that I had, put all together. So I lost the hour-long video, the hour-long vlog, and I was pissed off about it. So with that being said, I am not going to worry about it. I was stressed out yesterday, but today I'm just going to record the video that I had in line right after this one. So by the title, you can tell that I'm going to be doing a Q&A. And this isn't just a random Q&A. I actually received an email from this lovely lady, this lovely YouTuber, or I don't really know what she does, but Jasmine. She sent me a list of questions that she really wanted to know. So I figured, why not just, answer her questions, and maybe you guys have the same questions, and So without further ado, let me go ahead and get into these questions. So the first question says, how did you get started in truck driving? Specifically, what motivated or influenced your decision? So how did I get started in truck driving? I feel like everybody asks me this, and every time someone asks me, I'm sort of like, this is a long story. So I'll give you guys the short version. The reason why I started trucking, first and foremost, is because I wanted a really good paying job that would help promote me, because I needed to start my brand, right? So I had a goal to start a brand, and that's something that I'm still currently working on. But I needed a career choice that would be able to back me up. And so I thought that trucking would be a good idea. The reason why, or the way that I got introduced to trucking, was by a friend of mine who actually started trucking like 6 months prior to me even starting. And so they were saying like, hey, you should get into this, because I was actually working at a bank, and the bank was paying all right. I just chopped it up, and I was like, all right, you know what? This is a decision for my brand. And I believe that it is so wide ranged in what I could do that I'd be able to live off of this career while building everything else up. That's what I really, really wanted to do. So that's why I got into trucking most specifically. Question number 2 says, what would you recommend a truck driving school with a community college, independent truck driving school, or go to a company's truck driving school, for example, Swift? First of all, I ain't never gonna suggest Swift. That's just my opinion though. But what I would say is I technically would suggest a truck driving school, more so because that's what I went through, and it didn't seem to be a problem with me at all. Like, I went and did it, and that was that, and the person that introduced me to trucking, they did the exact same thing. So I didn't see any fault in truck driving school. However, there are some companies like I'm sure Schneider or something like that. There's companies where they do allow for you to work for them and then they'll pay for your schooling. The only thing with that is it's normally contractual. So if you do, if they pay for your schooling, you'll more than likely have to work for them for a certain amount of time, like say a year or 2 years or whatever. It's a contractual agreement. And if you are someone like me where you have goals and you probably don't want to be stuck to one company for that long, primarily like if I was still at my first company, I would have to stay over the road for like 2 years. If you didn't want to do something like that, that probably wouldn't be the best bet. So truck driving school just gives you that freeness to be able to make your own decisions, choose the company that you want to work for, and move on from there. Number 3 is, would you recommend riding with a truck driver before deciding to go to truck driver school? The only reason I ask is that I want to experience what it's like before actually going to school for my CDL. So I guess the word is recommend. I don't necessarily recommend or don't recommend that type of thing. I feel like it's a cool experience, but not many people know truck drivers. And if you do know a truck driver, I don't know if they would be like, okay, get on my truck. You know, it's just not as optional for a lot of people. I was fortunate to be able to be a passenger on someone's truck for like a week or so. And so it did benefit me. And once I got into trucking school and they allowed us to actually start practicing on the trucks, once I got in the truck, I was already familiar with how high the truck was, what it looked like, and as far as vision. And then there were people who had never been in the truck before, period. And when they got in, they were like, whoa, it's huge, you know? And so, I mean, I don't think that it deterred or made anybody feel uncomfortable. I think that overall you'll be practicing just like everybody else. But would I recommend it? Not necessarily, because it's not always that optional for people. But if you do have that chance, I wouldn't say no. I would say, you know, go ahead, figure it out. Question number 4 says, just out of curiosity, what made you want to start a YouTube channel? I'm so happy you did because I really like your personality and video content. Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you so much. What made me start a YouTube channel? Well, I'll start off by saying that before I was saved, I was in trucking school, and there were people who would tell me every once in a while, because I guess I was like one of the smallest females and the youngest females out there, and I was really like handling my business, and there would be people coming up like, you know what? And when I say people, I mean like only 2. But I did have people say to me, you should do a YouTube channel. And I just blow it off like, and they'd be like, no, because there's people like you that are probably deterred from doing doing trucking. And you would be someone that could inspire them to do it. And, you know, I heard it, but I didn't think too much of it because it's like, me, YouTube? You know, I'm pretty introverted and I'm not always outgoing. So something like YouTube would really put me out of my box. Not to mention my mother, she was always like, do a YouTube. And I'm like, And so eventually when I got on my truck and I started committing myself to following God and things like that, I know y'all about to be like, what? But I really felt that God told me to do it. And it was through multiple ways, but I just remembered that I started to feel pushed. I started to feel like the only reasons why I didn't want to do it was because I was scared, because I was fearful, not because I didn't feel like it was beneficial to anyone else or things like that. I felt like I had stuff that I could give. I felt like I could help someone. And, you know, even if I didn't know everything, I felt like just my presence would make someone feel like, oh, I can do it too. She's only 5 foot. You know, she looks like a toddler. So why not me? Why not, you know, I try? And so I recognized that my own selfish ways were the reason why I didn't decide or I didn't commit to it. So I just tried to obey God the best way I could. And that's why I made my first little cringy YouTube video, how to be a truck driver or how to be a Christian over the road. So yeah, that's why. And I was immediately shown that I made the right decision because I received so many comments of people saying, thank you, you're the reason why I got in the city. And I'm telling you, every time I get a comment like that, I'd be like on the verge of tears, because it's just a reminder that God really did ordain this, you know. And that's all I really wanted. I just wanted to help. I just wanted, because I understand that it's so easy to be like, I want to do this, I want to do that. But until someone really steps into it and shows you that it's possible, it's hard to really commit yourself to doing it. And so, yeah, I'm just so happy that my presence is showing people I can do it too. And by the way, truck driving is not like the success route, because I ain't a millionaire or nothing like that. I just know that for some people, especially in the Black community or the young adult community, it's something that would get them out of their rut. It's a great avenue, and like I said, it's a career choice for a lot of people. So I just, I wanted to do that. So I think I'm doing it. So yeah. So question number 5 says, how do you keep yourself from getting sleepy over the road? So, Jazz, I actually made a video about this, but I think overall my way of keeping myself from falling asleep is to preoccupy myself. I wouldn't recommend being distracted entirely, but there are moments where I'm like, you know what? I'm just listening to music, or now mind you, I was over the road, and so over the road is really different from being local. Local, I don't necessarily have to stay entertained because I'm not driving all day, right? But over the road, where I was driving all day, every day, I had to entertain myself. So I had Audible, where I was listening to books, and I'm a bookhead. So I really like, I love books. So I always liked being entertained by a good story. And so Audible really helped me with that. I've since then deleted my Audible just because I'm trying to limit the amount of money that I'm throwing out. But that was a necessity over the road, right? And then also music. I would listen to TV shows. My thing is superhero movies. And so I would listen to my superhero movies because I already knew what was going on because I would rewatch them so many times. So like things like that. I would be on the phone with people. Just, keeping myself preoccupied. And people think that that's not enough, but you could be on the phone with somebody for like 3 hours. I wouldn't do that every day because like I said, I'm like introverted, but a good book is like 8 hours long. But it all depends on the person. I think that people overthink how to stay awake. Generally, if you weren't driving a truck, and this is just a daytime thing, if you weren't driving a truck, you would 9 times out of 10 stay awake throughout the day anyway. And so I think people overthink it. How do I stay awake? You're only driving about a good 9, 10 hours, 11 hours at the most. And so you wouldn't necessarily feel super groggy and tired unless you were just somebody who takes repeated naps throughout the day. So, but yeah, if you're a nighttime driver, that's where I would really implement trying to stay entertained and things like that. I think the real question is, how do you keep from being bored? Because it's easy to feel bored when you're, on the road and things like that. But that's why I say, I just listen to audiobooks and stuff like that. Okay, so the last question is, if you aren't already an owner-operator, do you see yourself being one day? I want to say no, but I also don't want to say never. Or what? I don't want to say never so quickly because that's a nice avenue. That's a great way to kick off a trucking career as far as, having your own fleet and things like that. However, that was never my goal from the beginning. I'd always thought of this as a stepping stone. I've said that in numerous videos. But being an owner-operator, the reason why I wouldn't, and it's not because I think that it's a bad thing, it's just according to my plans, that would take a lot of dedication, a lot of saving, a lot of investing, and overall, it just wouldn't work out for me. You gotta buy the truck, or lease, which I wouldn't do that, or finance, which I wouldn't do that. And if you buy a truck that is a little bit more used, you have to take into consideration that you have to pay for whatever breaks down. You also have to pay for gas and all this stuff. All of the expenses are your own. You get paid more, but to me, I feel like that's just a lot of investing for something that would go sort of this way when my path is this way. And I just don't want to take up too much time. We don't have a lot of time on this earth. So if that's something that you planned on doing as your career for trucking, then yeah, that's a great investment. That would definitely be something that I would suggest. But if you are using trucking as a stepping stone, I mean, I wouldn't say no, but I would say, is it something that would completely derail you from the path you're trying to get on? And I think that it would, because it would take a lot of time and money and, so. But that's just me. Me personally, I'm someone who eventually wants kids and things like that. And so if I'm going to be a mother, I don't, and I'm not saying this for mothers, because it's definitely possible. But how I view myself as a mother is I eventually see myself, being invested in my kids' lives. And I wouldn't really want to be over the road and, focusing on a fleet of trucks or just my truck or whatever. I just don't want to be thinking too much about trucking. So if that makes sense, I hope it did. But from there on out, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much. We're at 2,400 at this point, 24 something hundred subscribers, and you guys are super bomb for that. I'm super surprised that we're practically at 3,000. I wonder if we'll make it to 3,000 by the time January comes. Would that be bomb or what? But anyways, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for your support. Thank you so much for the comments. I read every single one. It's getting a tad bit more difficult to answer everybody's or respond to everybody's comments, because every day we're getting more and more people. So just bear with me. But I love you guys so much. I hope this answered some of your questions. If you have a list of questions that you would like for me to answer or whatever, either put them down in the comments, or if you want to email. And yeah, so thank you, Jazz, for the questions. And I will see you guys in the next video.